to this PM² sneak peek. In this informational session is not working. Is split into two sessions. I'm your moderator today. I'm Nick Schellekens, and I'm head of project management of Van Haren Group. Van Haren is present within the certification council of the PM² Group. And the speakers today will be Laurent Kummer and Lex van der Helm, who will talk to you and provide you with more information about the topic. So as I mentioned, this session will be divided into two sessions. The first one will be more a general presentation about PM² and the PM² Group. And afterwards, there will be a 1.5 hour trainer session. I will invite everybody to stay for that session, but the first half hour will be more a general presentation, and the 1.5 hour afterwards will be specific for trainers. So if you have any questions after this session, please contact me. I will provide you my email address within the chat, so you can contact me afterwards. I would like to mention that if you have questions during the presentation, please put them also in the chat. I will ask them afterwards for you to the presenters. So now we'll go to the first session. The first speaker today will be is Capgemini Academy portfolio lead. He's a lead trainer for PM² within the European Commission, and he's the chief examiner of the PM² Group. So I would like to welcome Lex to the platform. And I will stop sharing my presentation.
Start sharing. Thank you, Nick, for that introduction. And welcome everyone, some very familiar faces and some old familiar faces. Welcome to this session. I want to give you a sneak peek into what the PM² Group does and what it is all about. And I'm going to do that via 3 topics that I want to briefly touch upon. First of all, I want to paint some of the context of PM² looking at Europe. Then at PM² is a project management methodology. And my third topic is to have give you a brief introduction of the PM² Group. So those are my 3 topics that I want to cover. I don't know if I can manage to fill the whole half hour that's been allotted to me, but if not, you sure will have questions, or Laurent will take over when I'm done. Let us start with a little bit of context to put it all into perspective, because we're talking about PM² within the context of the European Union. And of course, everyone knows the European Union. But let us remind us that it's about 27 countries that make up that European Union, with a total of 350 different regions, some 500+ million citizens that fall within the borders of EU countries, speaking 24 different languages. And within the European Union, there are a number of institutions that have some 60,000 staff members working for them, which is actually not such a big number as I was expecting. I think countries like Germany or France might have more civil servants than the European Union. But what I also found is that for the next period, 6-year period, there is a budget for the Commission of 1 trillion euros. And then I stopped on this page of statistical information because 1 trillion, I didn't really understand what that meant. So I tried to envisage that for myself, what 1 trillion euro looks like. So what is 1 trillion euros? If this is, and don't look too closely at the picture, but I couldn't find a stack of euros. If this is 10,000 euros, then this is someone standing to a stack of 1 million euros. Rather insignificant. If you're talking about billions, it's a sizable amount. But if you then zoom out a little bit more and look at the trillion euros, you get something like this. And you might think, where is that little guy in the red shirt gone? He's still there. So 1 trillion really is a hell of a lot of money. And that money is mostly spent in projects. Projects being run by 76 different institutions and bodies that make up the European institutions framework. And it's familiar names like the European Commission, the European Parliament, but also smaller institutions, agencies, and supporting bodies and temporary constructs that are formed to support the working of the European Union. And increasingly, these institutions and agencies are looking for ways to better manage their projects or do it in a way that's more standardized across their workings to facilitate their interdependent projects, etc. One of the main bodies in this network of institutions and agencies is the
Lex, you are muted.
Sorry. The European Commission is the EU's main executive body that proposes new laws, manages policies, allocate funding. Remember, that's that trillion euros. It enforces EU law and it represents the EU internationally through its offices across the globe. So that's our context where we are looking when we talk about PM². But of course, it's not only the formal bodies and agencies, it's also a whole network of companies, consultancy firms, freelance people supporting these agencies and institutions in doing projects that are interested in PM². So that's our context for PM². And PM² is the European Parliament, the European Commission's methodology for project management that I want to have a look at next. And the purpose of PM² is to enable project managers to deliver solutions and benefits to their organizations through effectively managing the entire life cycle of their projects. And for me, that statement of purpose immediately brings to the front one of the key differentiators of PM² is that it has a very strong focus not only on delivering solutions, outputs, but also incorporates into its perspective the delivery and the realization of benefits, which I think is a very nice element of PM², which of course is to a certain degree also present in other project management methodologies, but I think not in the same degree as it is in PM². PM² has a life cycle for its projects. It has a definition of roles and responsibility, and it has a whole set of artifacts supporting the documentation of projects at its disposal. And of course also something called monitor and control to keep sure that our project delivery stays on track. And in this session, I will give you a brief overview of what is in PM², and for the nitty-gritty details, I refer you to the second part of this session, where Laurent will take you through a more detailed introduction of the method. Like any self-respecting methodology, we have a one picture to define the methodology, and in this case, our Greek temple has a solid foundation in the form of a collection of project management best practices on which we have created a PM² methodology guide. And that methodology guide contains a description of the governance lifecycle, processes and artifacts that form the pillars of our ability to effectively deliver solutions and benefits. The project management best practices might not be completely revolutionary or very innovative, because the projects we are going to manage using PM² are projects like any other. So in its basis, PM² looks at things like PMBOK, Prince2, ISO 21500 standards for project management, and adapts them to the specific context of the European Union and the kind of projects that we see there. The PM² methodology guide is a concise description of the methodology, and currently at its third incarnation, and available in book in the European Parliament's publication office. The four pillars: a clear governance structure that supports the solution and benefits delivery, a clear life cycle with initiation, planning, execution, and closing phase, and monitoring and control in it, processes for managing risk issues, changes, and other things that we need to manage during our project, and a set of artifacts to support our efficient working. Project management methodologies are a way to bring control to a unique undertaking that is a project. And sometimes we tend to succumb to the pitfall of adhering very strictly to our methodology as a way of dealing with uncertainty. And for me, the second discerning characteristic of PM² is that it embraces the idea of a PM² mindset, which is to say that just applying a methodology is not sufficient. You have to do it in the proper mindset that will allow you to be mindful of what you want to achieve, and make sure that it's not just about following your methodology, but also the ingenuity, the flexibility with which you apply that methodology to your projects. So PM² mindsets, they're on the screen, there are 11. It's about having a long-term perspective on your project. It's about finding a balance between all the different perspectives on your projects. It's about letting people grow in their contribution to projects. And my personal favorite, I must say, is number 2 on that list. Remain mindful that PM² and project management methodologies are there to serve projects and not the other way around. So our projects are there not just to deliver project results, but project results that help us achieve maximum value for the organization. So having that value in your back of your mind in the decisions that you make. So the PM² mindset is what brings all the elements of PM² together. And it is also what allows you to find a proper balance between maintaining control over your project on the one hand, and at the same time be as agile as you need to be during your project to accommodate the changes that you have to deal with. If we have a look at the life cycle of PM² and the different phases and the key artifacts, this picture kind of brings it all together. And it describes the life cycle of a project in which a project starts with a business need, which is captured in a project initiation request. And in the initiating phase of a project, the project owner drives the project. And the project initiation request, the business need, is the basis for a business case in which we explore the options we have for satisfying our business need and seeing which of these options brings the best value to the organization. And once we have identified that valuable alternative, we create a project charter to define the projects that we would need to create that solution. So the initiating phase is about defining the scope of the solution that brings the most value given the business need that we have identified. The initiation phase of a project is wrapped up with a phase gate in which we can ask ourselves the question, are we ready to proceed to the next phase of the project? Do we have faith and confidence that we will be able to take this project one step further? Do we understand the problem? Do we have a valuable solution? Are we able to create a project that can deliver that solution? If the answer to these questions is yes, we take our project to the planning phase, in which the project charter is the basis for developing a project handbook, which describes your temporary organization, and the creation of a project work plan, a detailed plan based on an elaboration of the scope. And it's the project manager that drives this phase of the project. Again, followed up by a phase gate. Are we ready to execute our project? Do we have confidence that we can invest in the execution of the project? And the project work plan is the basis for the work that the project core team does in this phase. And hopefully that will lead to a steady stream of project deliverables being created. And at the end, we can ask ourselves the question, did we do everything that we set out to do? Can we hand over everything that we created? And can we close the project as to obtain final acceptance for our project, and taking the time to evaluate what has happened in our project and capture lessons learned and make sure that the organization accepts the project results, culminating in a project end report. That's the life cycle for a PM² project. The second pillar of the temple is the governance structure. And fundamental for that governance structure is a shift in perspective, where most project management methodologies are managed by a project manager who is often mostly focused on the delivery aspect of his project, getting things there on time, on budget. In PM², we apply a more holistic view to our project, in where we have a more value-centric perspective of our project. We want to deliver value to the organization, not just by delivering outputs on time, on budget, but also by creating the benefits from those solutions that we develop. So the fundamental principle in the governance is that we need to have both aspects of our project incorporated in our governance structure. So for that purpose, PM² introduces the role of the business manager, who collaborates and cooperates closely with the project manager, where the business manager has the business perspective of the project and the project manager has the solution perspective of the project. Taking that basic principle, the governance model of a PM² project has an appropriate governance body who is it's a generic placeholder for the organizational entity that finances the project, represented on the directing layer of the project by a project owner who finds on the provider side an equivalent role being the solution provider. On the managing layer, it is the business manager and the project manager who collaborate and communicate closely together. And on the performing layer, on both sides, we have a business implementation group and a project core team, respectively, on the requester side and the provider side of the project. And of course, this is a basic model for setting up a governance and not per se the only possible outcome. The other pillar of the PM² model is the artifact landscape. And this is an overview of all the artifacts that PM² offers, which is on par with things like the management products in Prince2 in number. But you already see that a number of them are surrounded by a dotted line. So can be seen as optional, because and every project is unique, so there is a degree of tailoring that is required to make any methodology work for your project, and PM² is no different in that respect. This is an overview of all the artifacts, and PM² offers templates for most of these artifacts, which contain already a great deal of boilerplate text that can be easily adapted to any project. All right. PM² has been developed over a number of years, initially by the IT department of the Commission, by Digit, with focus on IT projects, but was quickly expanded to also be available to other bodies within the Commission, and apparently hitting the right note, was adopted and extended to be suitable for the adaptation by other institutions and agencies across the European Union with the release of version 3. And parallel, there was a what was called an open PM² version available to the wider public. But we quickly realized that having two parallel versions of the same methodology was not very practical. So version 3.01 was released as an integrated version combining version 3 and Open PM² in one consolidated project management methodology. And so PM² is already quite mature. PM², as I described it so far, is a methodology for project management. But projects do not stand by themselves. Projects are often part of programs. We need portfolio management to make the right choices in terms of what changes do we want to invest in. And that means that there is also, besides the project management methodology guide, which is available in English, Spanish, French, and Italian, there is also an agile extension to PM², which is also available in several languages. But we also, since last year, have a program management guide available on for PM² and a portfolio management guide. So PM² is both a solid project management methodology as well as part of a whole family of integrated methodologies for agile projects, programs, and portfolios. PM² is supported by a healthy ecosystem consisting of a number of publications, both guides and supporting documents, which typically are available to everyone through the various channels of the European Union. There is a healthy online community, and the Commission offers a number of services, certification, training, and consultancy. The only thing is that those services are only available internally, so to agencies and institutions within the European Union. They do offer quite a lot to the wider public. There is a basic introduction training to PM² available for everyone, e-learning that will take you about 1-2 hours. All the guides are available for download on the publication office website. You can download the PM² guide and the Agile guide and the other guides for free. But the fact that there is no certification available to the wider public is the bridge to my third and final topic, which is the PM² Group. And from its conception, PM² was envisaged by the Commission to be part of a wider ecosystem in which not only the Commission, but other institutions, but also member states and in the end, EU citizens would benefit from improved delivery of projects by the use of PM². So in order to spread PM² to that wider audience and take over from the Commission where the responsibility of the Commission ends and where there is opportunity for PM² to be more widely adapted, it's where we find the PM² Group as a non-profit cooperation between companies that aim to facilitate the growth and the use of PM². And it's open to any interested organization, training providers, professionals, and currently we have a number of founding members joining the PM² Group. QRP, Van Haren, Kronos, CERT-N, PM³, and Capgemini. And one of the things that we do in order to promote PM² is offer a certification program that aims to create and document a common understanding of the expertise required for managing projects using PM². We currently offer a foundation level certification, and in time we will release also an agile certification and a practitioner level certificate. That certificate has been developed in line with the certification that is used internally by the Commission. It's supported by learning materials that one of the partners of the group is offering, and is supported by social badge as well, so you can flaunt your proficiency in PM². The certification is follows the EU syllabus, so is identical to the one that's internally used by the Commission, and people that have passed the internal EU certification can apply for recognition and receive the PM² social badge as well. One of the great things I think that we are able to do as PM² Group is offer PM² in currently 5 different languages. And we see already that a great deal of ministries in different countries, city councils are looking to adapt and adopt PM². And they prefer to be able to use it in their own language. So I'm looking forward shortly to travel to Spain, where people will sit the PM² exam in Spanish. The certification is carried by a certification council with some people I'm very proud of to be sharing this page with. People who have contributed to the creation of PM² guides and experts in their field. And I'm also very proud that we offer opportunities for people to join in the PM² family, even if they have no professional support backing them. So for unemployed professionals, they can get a very significant discount on the exam costs. And we have free training materials for universities and other educational institutions, something that Nick can tell you much more about. All right, that was my sneak peek on PM² and the PM² Group. Back to you, Nick.
Yes, Lex, thank you very much. I'll give you a big applause. Oh no, that's not the right one. It's this one. Yes. Well, thank you very much. We have a couple of questions to ask you. And the first one is, why was PM² created as a waterfall method? And then on top of that, Agile PM² was created?
Perhaps I should call in the help of Laurent, because I think he was closer to the fire at that point in time. My answer would be anecdotal. Laurent?
Yes. Stefan, so the idea behind is maturity, essentially, and the time of things. I will come back a little bit on the genesis of PM² and why PM² and why not another method, why not PMI or Prince2, and this has come to the unique context that Lex mentioned, and the level of maturity we find in the European institutions where PM² was born. But just to make a short answer to your question, there is still room for waterfall methods, okay, especially when you are in a domain where everything is set up ahead, like when we have to implement legislations, the legislations won't change from one day to the other. So from an IT project perspective, your specifications are basically written in marble, written in stone. Okay, there is very little room for change, for risk, for a lot of things. And then the applying agile methods might be an overkill in that aspect. Okay. Now, of course, we recognize the need for agility and need for hybrid. Okay. And that's why agile PM² came later on. But I want also to stress the fact that, and that's also the case where you speak about phases in your earlier question, Stefan. In fact, you have to see PM² more like a container in which you can have a waterfall framework or waterfall type of rolling out your project, or an agile one, or an hybrid one. Okay, so here we have to look at all the processes containing PM², and not necessarily the successive the series in which you apply them.
I also thanks Laurent for helping me out. I see a remark from Rob about tools being supported by PM². As Laurent said, PM² is open in its structure, so indeed it's quite agnostic. One of the very helpful things I think that PM² offers is a tools and technique guide, which offers a broad spectrum of PM² of project management techniques that you can incorporate in your projects. Software tooling supporting PM², I don't know yet. I think there is a big opportunity there for suppliers like MS Project and other project management tools to support a specific approach of PM². I see that some institutions have adopted their own project management tooling to support PM², but I definitely think there's an opportunity there. I also, another remark I want to make is that PM² is not just for IT projects. A lot of the trainings I give is to non-IT people who want to apply PM² to more generic projects, research projects, those kind of things. And for them, the question agile or waterfall is still irrelevant.
Okay, great. Well, Lex, thank you very much for your presentation. And I would say let's continue to the next one. I think there are no more questions. So Lex, I think that you can enjoy your very well-deserved Friday drinks.
Thank you. I might still watch Laurent. I'm curious to hear what he has to say, so maybe I'll stick around.
Yeah, it's always nice to have Lex around in case I get a tricky question.
So for the people who just came in, I would like to say that this session is recorded. So please put your microphone on mute and your camera off. Welcome for the new people. Welcome to this trainer session in where I will introduce the next speaker. He is editor-in-chief of the PM² Guides 3.0. He is a senior project manager and a consultant at the European Commission, and he's a freelance PM² trainer. Please welcome to the floor, Laurent.
Thanks, Nick. Hello, everyone. Indeed, nice to see you all, and interested in the PM² Group and the PM² certification. So, in complement to what Lex has presented us so far, I want to speak a little bit more about the some of the questions that were asked here. So, and I think the first one that I will touch is why PM² in the first place. I think that's probably one of the questions you came in here today. Why PM²? Why not something else? And we'll see the different the different cases you are in, and then how PM² is going to be my second topic, and then I will open the floor to more of your questions. But I promise you, I'm not going to speak for an hour and a half. I will all let you enjoy your early weekend. But because a full train the trainer session would definitely take more than 1 hour. But at least I would like to introduce some of the material that will be available to you that can be relevant depending your context for getting to know PM² better, how to do that, and how to go further. Yeah. So I'm going to just start here where Lex left us, and I'm going to share my screen. That's going to be even better, I guess. It is, and the first thing that I would like to answer is why on earth PM²? Okay, there are things that exist already in other contexts today, and maybe I don't know all of you, but some of you might be here because you are interested. You are project managers, or you are interested in project management. You are interested in new ways to introduce discipline in project management in your organization. Maybe you are a consultant looking for other options for your own customers to improve their project management maturity. Maybe you are in the training business and you want to propose PM² trainings to your customers. Okay, but why PM²? Why PM²? Why not Prince2? And what are the differences? Some of you probably from what Lex presented us detected some similarities, okay, with existing methodologies, and that indeed come from the genesis of PM², where it was originally built. That's the core that you can see here on the screen. The version 1 was a strictly internal method to the European Commission for IT project. It was designed because the others were not working. Okay, it's a particular context. Okay, there are good and bad reasons why PMP or PMI, the PMBOK, and the Prince2 methods that have been tried were not working in this context. Okay, and so the team that built PM² started to look at the existing methods and were taking each and every features of these methods, were looking them through the prism of does it work here or not, and this is how they got to PM². And what indeed came out of this exercise is something that is in fact an interesting and new proposal for solving project management problems. So what is this proposal? The first proposal from PM² is its simplicity. Beauty is in the simplicity. Okay, I made this slide already quite some time ago, at the time where the PMBOK was only 500 pages. I think it went up to 800, and then now it has shrunk again. Okay, But when you take the PM² guide, it feels so light. Okay, it's condensed, it's rich in there, but remember what Lex said about customizing, tailoring. Okay, when you want to enter and introduce a methodology inside an organization, a department, a unit, and you have to customize it, what's the effort to make? To customize 500 pages of processes or just the 100 that you need? Okay, so that makes it very easy to adopt. Okay, and I'm going to speak also about maturity in a moment. We will see that PM² address different levels of maturity than we can find for regular Prince2 customers, for example, or PMP users. Yeah. Then a second element of the proposal for PM² is the commercial aspects. Okay, obviously this was designed for an internal use in the first place, and then, as Lex explained, the interest grew so much that it was released. But the custodian of the method, the origin of the method, is the European Commission, and its goal is absolutely not to make any money out of PM². So the mechanism of the release, the PM² guide, the PM² artifact, the templates, the tools, all the websites are completely free of charge. Yeah. So we are in a very, very different logic. We are in a community logic here. We are in a quality improvement logic here. We are here to improve our capability, our capacity to deliver better projects in Europe, but also anywhere else. Okay, so that's another aspect of the PM² proposal. Of course, the focus is the EU. So it was born in a European institution. So let's say it's the vocabulary, the legal framework behind everything is more or less related to the EU, but we have very good example of implementation of PM² in the US, in Japan, and in Australia. Okay, so it can work anywhere because we went to the core principles, we went to the basics of how to run a project. Okay, but it is true that one of the reasons why other methods were not working, and that was related to the governance model, which is quite particular in public administration. And for that, we have ready-made solutions. So for sure, if your customers or if yourself are working in a public administration, PM² work nearly straight out of the box. So we wanted to make it very simple, but not too simplistic. Okay, so the reasons for that, and that was one of the two key reasons why PM² was born, was the initial maturity level we are addressing. Okay, when you look at a methodology like Prince2, Prince2 is relying heavily on principles. Okay, which gives you a certain degree of freedom. Yeah, but to enjoy this freedom without losing yourself and by still being able to deliver requires a certain amount of project management maturity. Okay, this maturity was not there in the institutions at the time where PM² was created. Okay, at the other extreme, you can have methodologies that are very, very, very much relying on rigid processes. okay, where you can have a process for nearly everything. Okay, and here again, we have an example of, let's say, not that hardcore, but if you look at the PM², you have a process, you have a lot of processes in there. Okay, processes are good when you don't have the maturity, because all you have to do is follow the process. But a process, I mean, works in a very specific context. When you get out of the context, your process doesn't work anymore. And there you have to customize, you have to tailor that process. To do that, again, you need a certain form of maturity so that the purpose of the process is respected while complying to the local environment. So with PM², we try to have a middle approach here. Yes, we have to have a process-based methodology because the maturity levels we address generally in public administrations and in organizations that do not yet have a methodology are lower than others. Okay, so we need to have a process-based approach. But what we do also, we propose a certain number of principles. That's the mindsets Lex showed you earlier. Yeah, and on top of that, because we are process-based, we also include inside the methodology guidelines to customize the processes for your own purpose. Okay, so this way you get the best of both worlds. Yeah? You've got a process-based, customizable methodology with a sprinkle of principles for the most advanced and the more mature project managers that don't want to rely too much on processes but prefer principles to lead their project. Okay. Another perk of coming from the genesis of PM², as I mentioned, there are bits and things coming from other methods, which means that if you know these methods, well, you won't be lost in the PM² because you will recognize them. Okay, and here I want to come back to the first question of Stefan in why did we make phases out of the process groups? Again, it's a question of maturity. Having a process group means that it's a big box where we put processes, okay? But if you don't have a team mature enough to know when they should trigger these processes, when they should follow these processes, okay, they won't do it. Simply put, if you put, I don't know, risk management process in a box and say, hey, do risk management, somebody who has not the maturity, who has not led any project, is going to be lost. So the concept of phasing, okay, makes writes the use of these processes along a certain timeline and allows to program the run of these processes according a certain number of events, like, you don't know, your milestones, you're ready for planning, ready for executing gates, etc., etc. Okay, so this is one of the reasons, one of the key difference. We don't have, we have one process group, it's monitor and control, but we also have phases that allows less mature team to project what they are going to have to do now, tomorrow, and in a month from now. Another proposal from PM² is a set of templates. If you remember the slide that Lex showed you earlier with all these documents, okay, the good news is we have a template for each of these documents. Yeah, so we have that. And you can download them also for free from the European Commission website, okay? and you are free to adapt them, to customize them for your own use or for the use of your customers. Okay, so and also, as it was mentioned again by Lex, who did all my job today, thank you, Lex. We create a certain number of tools, techniques that are relevant to project managers, and that can be used in conjunction of PM². Okay. Finally, PM² is constantly in evolution. We are version 3 today. The Commission is preparing an upgrade for next year that will not dramatically change PM², but will be there will be some chapters that will stick more to the latest trend in project management. Okay. And one thing that you see that PM² is part of an ecosystem. Okay, it's part of an ecosystem that also is at the high level. So the programming, the program management, portfolio management, yeah, and also in how you execute your project, how you deliver. It can be waterfall, but it can be agile as well. Okay, and here, basically, the PM² is really seen as a container. Okay, you can simply take it as is, and in the executing phase, for example, just simply write your waterfall or software delivery cycle or Gantt chart with all the steps from now until the delivery. Okay, or you can use any type of agile method. You can totally use other agile frameworks like Scrum, like XP, like others with PM². No problem at all. Okay, it's just that on top of PM², the Commission also has customized an agile framework. Okay, and has documented the touch points between what needs to happen at project management level, like stakeholder management, risk management, communication, etc., that will never be described in an agile model. Okay, and what happened at the agile level, the rituals, the planning rhythm, etc., etc. So here you have a very good complement to your project management. So this is the PM² proposal, and that's why it makes it a very attractive solution for any type of organizations, whether they are public or private. So why? I hope this is a good start for saying why PM². I don't know if you have further questions related to that. Is giving you an edge, but I hope you understand the logic on why choosing PM² can give you an edge to the teams, to the customers, to administrations, to even private customers. We have examples throughout Europe of private customers using PM² with success, and all the benefit they have of using it from day one. So that we know it works. And if I may say, as a project manager myself, involved in project management on a daily basis, it works. Okay, that's maybe the last thing you need to know about PM². It works, and it works. It gives very good results. The next thing I want to discuss with you, if you don't have any specific questions about why PM², is how to approach it. Okay, What are the tools? What are the material at your disposal? How to get to PM²? If you are a future user of yourself, okay. If you are a consultant willing to introduce that at your customers, or if you are a trainer and you want to start teaching and training PM². Okay, so there are two sources of information. Okay, the first source, and which is where you will get the latest information about PM² and about the material related to the knowledge in PM². That's the European Commission website. Yeah? The European Commission website, if I may share it here, is Europa, PM².europa.eu or europa.eu/PM2, and this is the place where you will get all the core reference material for PM², where you can download the guide, where you can download the other guides, the portfolio, the program, and all the artifacts and the translations whenever they are available for your country. Okay, we already have a certain number of translations available inside the website. Okay, so this is going to give you reference material. Now, of course, you probably want to have a more didactic approach, and then we have all the things related to the certification of professionals according to PM². Yeah, and that's what the PM² Group is proposing here to you. And the second source of information that I invite you to check is the PM² Group website, okay, PM²group.eu, where you can get access to all sorts of informations related to the promotion, the use of PM², also latest news, and extra material, okay, especially training material to get to know PM² better, yeah? And also direction to all the certification process if you want to become PM² certified, or if you want to become an accredited trainer to then in turn teach and guide project managers toward the PM² certification. Yeah. So I mean, we'll of course going to share all these links if you don't have them yet. Okay, and this leads me here to sharing with you how we see the use of the material we promote through the PM² Group that can be useful for if you would like to become a trainer. Okay, we have prepared a training material, a courseware, okay, that in fact I've been using here already, where you have that. That is available from the Van Haren and the PM² Group website, and that is condensed and knowledge taken from, of course, the reference, which will always be the latest PM² guide. Okay, so the certification, as explained by Lex, is aligned to the version of PM². Today we are in version 3.0.1. Okay, and of course the preparation, the courseware that you see here that is available through the website is aligned to the content of the PM² guide version 3.1, and the exam, of course, is aligned to this as well. Okay. Now, the slides, the courseware has been designed around 3 different objectives. Okay. The first objective is a pure information purpose. You might have among your customers or people of interest someone who would just like to have an introduction, an info session to PM². 1 hour, 2 hours, half a day. Okay. Then you can take the material that is in the courseware. Okay. And if you look at this, each and every slides, you will see that some of them are coded with a single yellow dot here, like on my screen here on the top left corner. Okay, and in fact, these slides represent a subset of the courseware that can be selected just for a simple info session. They will just provide a high-level view of what PM² is, much like what we gave to you with Lex in the previous hour. Yeah. Now, if you are a trainer and you want to prepare for certification, or you want to teach to people who are preparing the certification, of course, you have to respect the syllabus that is published by the European Commission, and the courseware, of course, is aligned to this syllabus. So the mapping of the slides here and the syllabus is also part of the material you will receive. Yeah, and the slides are also coded and correspond to the 1 and 2 dots. So, for example, the second level is the 2 dots, and if you take only the slides that have 1 and 2 dots, you have all the content covering the syllabus and preparing the delegates to take the exam. The third level, the third objective of this courseware, okay, it's nice to have a certification, but how do I apply concretely PM² to my projects? How do I implement it? How do I introduce it? Okay, so that, of course, deserves another type of training, which is more workshop oriented. Okay, where we are going to use mock-up projects and other types of exercise. Okay, and we also go much deeper into some of the concepts. Okay, and for these, you will be able to rely on slides that are marked with three dots. Okay, who are more about examples and more going to challenge your classroom, your delegates into thinking, into proposing workshop, or how concretely apply PM² processes and concepts to real projects. Okay, so all in all, this is the content of the courseware, and as you can see, it is quite rich, but we wanted to indeed make sure that we got you covered for all types of intervention and communication you might have to do related to PM². Okay. Another thing that I wanted to highlight regarding the courseware. So when it comes to the preparation of the certification, the syllabus clearly mentions for the exam, the certification exam, how many questions are related to each item in the syllabus. Yeah. And of course, it's important to know how to prepare for that. If you have a part of the syllabus which is going to get a lot of questions, you probably want to make sure that you train your people well on that. Okay, the syllabus refers to, of course, the core material, which is the PM² guide. So what we did, and you will get that with the material, we have a map that allows you to go from one item in the syllabus to one specific slide in the courseware and to one specific chapter in the PM² guide. Okay, so that you can at all time you are able to refer to the core material, to the courseware, or to the syllabus points when you are giving explanations. And even in here in the courseware, we do have a reference at the bottom left of the slides to the PM² guide chapter or section that we are referring to. Yeah. So all in all, that is going to give you a very rich material that you can reuse and propose to your students for learning the content of PM², for just knowing about PM², or for learning how to concretely use it in some study case, and be ready to start applying it into real projects. That's basically the round that I wanted to cover. So why PM²? The simplicity, the ability to guide and to adopt easily and customize easily PM² for you, for your customers, for your delegates. Okay, how? By making sure you check on the Commission, European Commission website for the latest core material, and of course by making advantage of all the work we have done with the courseware to bridge the syllabus, the courseware, and the guide for the understanding of the methodology. Thank you very much.
Yes, Laurent, thank you very much for your clear story. I would like to give you an opportunity to ask some questions in the chat, if there are any. No. There's one question of Lindsay. Can you confirm the requirements for trainers to be able to teach the materials, please?
So everything is explained in the PM² Group .eu website. Maybe also Lex can join. You have to have the exam. You have to pass the exam. That's one of the that's going to be one of the requirements. So you have to try it for yourself. And then there are a few administrative constraints also to follow, because we follow a certain quality chart, okay, to make sure that the trainers have experience in trainings, and then they understand the concept, and they have a whole quality plan behind them.
So there's one more question. Is this certificate required for getting a job at the European Commission as a project manager?
So that's a very good question, and so I'm going to answer that and even go further, Simeon. So thank you for that. It's definitely an edge. Okay, if you want to apply as a project manager for working at the Commission, and I will extend that in a minute, this is definitely going to give you an edge over the competition, because we certify your knowledge in PM², exactly the same way as internal project managers are certified. Okay, so the same criteria are applied. Okay, so you can come to the commission and say, I have been tested against the same criteria, and that is definitely going to give you an edge. For why PM²? Another large target group, if I may say, of PM² user that we haven't spoken about yet. Okay, of course, people who want to work in partnership with the commission, but like Lex said, you have seen this huge amount of money spent in projects. This is spent through grants that goes directly to project teams. Okay, these Moritz, stop spamming anything in the chat. No, it's not an easy exam. You need training, you need studying, you need to work on preparing your exam. You need a good trainers like Lex to prepare on your exam. So people who wants to bid for European funds for their project to get a grant, okay, they have to submit a proposal. Okay, and this is one of the study cases that we have in the courseware as well. How does PM² can help you prepare your project proposals to be submitted to different European Union programs like Horizon Europe, like Erasmus, like Interreg, and others. Okay, how can PM² improve my chance of being selected for the grant? Yeah. So this is a very important aspect of the benefit of using PM².
Okay, great. I think that this answered the question. She said thank you, so that's great.
The exam format. Yeah, that's right. I think we have the exam format. So
Yeah.
the exam format, or maybe Lex, you want to share the exam format?
Oh yeah, I can. Well, I don't have it at the top of my fingers. If you can share it, the exam is 100 questions, of which you have to have 70% or 70 correct. All the questions are answerable based upon knowledge of the guide and the artifacts template of the key documents of PM². I think those are the key points. The passing grade 70 out of 100 questions. Format of the questions is standard multiple choice. And one correct answer out of 4, no negative marking, so you do not get points deducted for wrong or unanswered questions. And the exam can be done online through the process that we have for that, or it can be invigilated on site by someone who has passed and met the criteria of our examination partner to administer the exams.
If I might add here some consideration about the exams. So the exam is about PM². Okay, it's a PM² Foundation certification. So it's going to test your knowledge of PM², not necessarily your knowledge about project management in general. Okay, so that's one of the first thing. The second thing is beyond the guide itself, the internal certification at the commission also take into account a certain amount of knowledge in risk management, stakeholder management, and requirements management. Okay, this is very lightly touched in the guide itself. Okay, so the courseware that we propose also come back on these notions. Okay, because the syllabus published by the European Commission specifies that there will be questions on risk management, on stakeholder management, and requirements management. And the guide itself is about PM², risk management, stakeholder management, requirements management are, let's say, more generic and common to other methodologies. Okay, so we see them again through the courseware.
Yes, Laurent, thank you very much for answering these questions, and thank you very, very clear presentation. I'll give you a round of applause. Yes, so thank you. I want to emphasize again to everybody that if you have any questions after this session, please contact me. I'll put once again my email in the chat. So feel free to send an email or schedule an appointment whenever it suits you. Lindsay already asked, can the slides be shared? Yes, the slides can be shared. We will send you the recording afterwards in email and a free copy of the courseware materials. And if you want any additional information, you can send an email to me and then I'll provide you that same information. So yes, I want to thank everybody for participating in this PM² sneak peek. And yeah, I want to wish you a very nice day and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good weekend.